Clint Kelly, owner of Castair. You just received your Castair compressor. We tested it, wrapped it, and shipped it out to you. There's a couple things I want to go through about receiving this compressor, because the freight companies are historically not going to cover any damages if you go pick up the compressor or get it delivered and don't unwrap it and inspect it. If you unwrap it and inspect it after you signed for it and there's damages, unfortunately the freight company is not going to cover any of that. They're going to dispute it and say that was you guys that did it. So again, the most important thing when you receive a Castair air compressor, first thing before you sign for any documentation, it comes like this. We have inspect for damage before accepting stickers. We'll have a packing slip. And then we also have additional parts in box stickers if you have parts on the machine that needed to come with your order. So again, when you receive the compressor, the freight company is going to unload it, or if you pick it up at a freight terminal, they're going to ask you to sign documentation. I'm going to go through what you need to do before you sign for that compressor. The first thing is get a knife or something to cut it open. It's not very fun trying to tear this shrink wrap, but you want to uncrate, unwrap, unbox whatever we ship to you before you sign for it. Because again, if there's damages in the transit process from the freight company, you have to note that on the signing documentation when you pick up the compressor. So again, what we recommend first is cut off the packing slip. Make sure it's obviously your compressor, because we ship a lot of units out daily and we've had freight companies mix up shipments. So just make sure your name's in the ship to. Go through what's on the packing list, see if you can visually see it. If you can't, like the parts in the box, that's where you need to cut it apart and make sure it's there. We've also had freight companies lose items off a compressor package like it was never on there. Castair will cover that, but it's something that costs us dollars and time. If we can note that something on the packing list isn't on it when you sign for it with the freight company, we're all going to be covered for that. So we checked the packing list, we went through it, we made sure there's nothing on there missing. Now we're going to just simply cut the shrink wrap. So be careful so you don't hit your compressor with the knife or whatever you're cutting. And it's as simple as just cutting down. Whether it's cardboard or paper, once you remove the shrink wrap, there should be something protecting that compressor from surface damage and scratching and things like that. Obviously, in a freight truck, we're located in Minnesota, so depending on where your location is, where we ship to, it could go across many states, and it might even be handed off between partner carriers. That's just a standard fact of freight in this day and age. But again, we got it cut open. We're just gonna simply unwrap. So you want to remove again any paper or cardboard that's in between the compressor. Again, you're looking for scratches, dents, dings, any piece of casting if it's been hit in transit that got broken off, the tubing, the wires, the pressure switch, the starter box, anything and everything on there, guys, you want to inspect. The feet of the compressor, we've had it where a forklift in transit busts a foot or bends a foot. Those are all things the freight company is responsible for, but you have to note it on the freight bill before you sign for it, guys. If you do not do that, the freight company will say you did it. There's no way we can go back to them and say they did it, you did it. It's one of those he said, she said games, and we don't like to get into that. If you document the damage upon arrival, there's no way the freight company can dispute that it showed up damaged. So again, we went through it. We're gonna open up the parts, make sure we got what we needed there. We're good. We checked it off on the packing list. The biggest thing again, guys, is you have to inspect the compressor for damages before you sign for it with the freight company. Again, if that doesn't happen and you unwrap it, whether it's an hour later, a day later, 2 days later, if you didn't unwrap it right in front of that freight company or that freight driver or at the freight terminal and inspect it and note damage, you're not going to get that covered by the freight company. That's one of the things when receiving a compressor or anything big, top heavy, you want to inspect. So again, you're looking for anything bent, anything broken off, scratching, dings, dents, anything and everything that isn't a brand new compressor like it left the Castair facility. If you do happen to find damages, please give us a call immediately, note it on the freight bill, and please itemize the damage on the freight bill. Whether it's a scratch on the tank, a bent tube, a missing part, whatever it is, you have to note it specifically and individually. What we would ask you to do is get a hold of Castair right away. we'll get in contact with the freight company, relay it. It's going to be on the freight documentation as well, which is what we need you to do to justify that it happened in transit. And again, if that happens, a lot of times we can send parts. You don't have to refuse the whole compressor. Now, if you don't feel comfortable accepting it, if the damage is extensive enough, we've had these things tip over where the pump's busted up and all sort of different scenarios. But if it's not extensive damage, if it's superficial, if it's minor, Castair can bend you a new tube, we can send out a new head, we can take care of the unit so we don't have as much downtime on rebuilding, reshipping, and testing your unit again. Again, the biggest thing here is, guys, we have to note that damage individually and specifically on the freight bill to get it covered by the freight company. And after you do that, again, please reach out to Castair immediately. We'll get on it, we'll figure it out. The nice thing about this day and age is we have smartphones, so in real time, you can take a picture of the damage and text it to your Castair representative, and we'll know exactly what to tell you in real time, whether to accept it, deny the whole compressor, or just, like I said, accept it, and we can send you the parts to fix it. 90% of the time, the damage is superficial. Castair will work with you, and so will the freight company, as long as it's noted on the freight bill. Once again, thanks for purchasing your compressor. If you have any questions on install and setup, just give us a holler, 320-796-0851. I look forward to chatting with you, and just remember, we'll stand behind this product the whole life of this machine in your shop.